I'm Mark Caro, and welcome to episode 55 of Caropop. Our guest this week is none other than Dave Davies of the Kinks. You don't need me to tell you who Dave Davies is or to inform you of his importance in the world of rock and beyond. But we'll talk about him anyway because it's fun to revisit this stuff. Guitarist Dave Davies and bassist Pete Quaife started the Kinks in North London's Muswell Hill district in 1963. Dave's older brother Ray soon joined and took charge, and drummer Mick Avery filled out the foursome. Dave revolutionized the sound of the electric guitar when he ran a razor blade through his speaker cone to create the distortion on the riff for You Really Got Me, the Kinks' 1964 breakthrough single. His muscular playing on that song, and All Day and All of the Night, among others, inspired bands such as The Who to follow suit. Dave's harmonies with his older brother Ray also helped define the band's sound, and Dave sang lead on I'm Not Like Everybody Else, Party Line, and other songs. Although Ray Davies wrote the bulk of the Kinks' catalog, Dave supplied key tracks such as Death of a Clown, Love Me Till the Sun Shines, Susanna's Still Alive, and Mindless Child of Motherhood. His song Strangers was a highlight of the album, Lola vs. Power Man and the Money Go Round Part 1, and Wes Anderson featured it prominently in his film The Darjeeling Express. Dave Davies' standout 1984 track Living on a Thin Line also provided the title for his revealing new memoir. Dave and Ray Davies famously have had their share of tensions over the years, and aside from one time when Ray joined Dave on stage to perform You Really Got Me, the Kinks haven't played together since 1996. Dave released 3 solo albums in the early 1980s and a fourth, Bug, in 2002. Then he suffered a stroke in 2004 and had to relearn how to walk, to talk, and to play guitar. He did all that and released a new album, Fractured Minds, in 2007, and then I Will Be Me in 2013, Rippin' Up Time in 2014, and Open Road with his son Russ in 2017. I loved interviewing him in 2013 for the Chicago Tribune and seeing him perform at the club's space. Dave Davies is a mystic and a seeker, constantly searching for answers beyond ordinary human comprehension. He speaks about his telepathic encounter with aliens in 1982. He also is a believer in the higher powers of compassion and love. So a conversation with Dave Davies isn't just a chance to geek out on music questions, though we do plenty of that, sometimes with cosmic implications. Where does musical inspiration come from anyway? A song doesn't exist, and then it does. Is some outside force planting it in the creator's head? Is that how he felt when he was coming up with the profound Strangers, in which he declares, we discuss the Kinks' past, present, and future, including his harmonies on Lola and the recent box set celebrating the 50th anniversary of Muswell Hillbillies and Everybody's in Show-Biz. We also address whether it's time finally to retire talk of a Kinks reunion. But even beyond the music, songs, and sibling dynamics, Dave Davies is exploring what it means to be alive. We're all living on a thin line after all, so please enjoy and absorb this Caropop conversation with Dave Davies.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. You came out with such a revolutionary guitar sound, and I'm wondering how much other guitarists of the era were kind of coming up to you, and you guys were sort of taking notes from each other at the time.
Not literally, but I think obviously everybody influenced everybody else. When I met Jeff, we just got on as guys, kids, right. And we just had a thing, and we got on really well.
Tell me this. I've been thinking about this with you because you have your memoir, Living on a Thin Line, and you're obviously a very introspective person. When do you feel like you've created your best art, and how have you felt during that time? Like, are those times of relative contentment, or are they times where you're a little bit more stirred up?
That and all the above. So sometimes you can't think of anything. It's great, but it doesn't happen all the time. You don't get inspired every time you open a guitar case. But the thing is that you always have to kind of be aware that it could happen in any moment. A flash of ideas or a thought that really gets hold of you. And a person you meet and so really changes the way you think. Because that's what a lot to do with creative work is the fact that we have to allow ourselves to be changed by what we're being influenced by. And that's it. Tricky. It can be. But it's sort of like my brother, Ray. It's kind of like he must be on automatic all the time. Because you write about what you see, and you see things all the time.
Yeah, because he and you have both gone through, highs and lows in terms of life events and moods and state of mind and all of that stuff. And I'm wondering whether, when you look back at like the music, whether you think, oh, the better stuff came when you were a little more in turmoil, or the better stuff came when it was relatively calm and you were able to just sort of be a little happier.
I think with me, it's probably different for different people, but with me, it's both. It's like sometimes you're depressed and you don't really want to do anything, and then you find that a lot of good ideas come up from that. And it's like also there's a lot of creative people that are bipolar, and maybe it's, if we learn how to work with it, maybe it's a common state of mind that we just have to train ourselves. The mind's a tricky bloody thing, It's to be handled with care, but who's the boss here? The mind or me or us? Okay, who's in charge as well?
I was saying, you look back on, songs that you've done like Death of a Clown and, Mindless Child of Motherhood, Man He Weeps Tonight, Strangers. And those are songs that have come from someone who's gone through some, experiences that you're wrestling with things. And that's kind of where the great art comes from, as opposed to just, hey, I'm happy again today or something like that.
Yeah. I wish I could say I was happy every day, but obviously it goes up and down, up and down. When we meditate properly, we can learn to kind of find an even keel in our mind, because for some reason, the creative people that I like are a bit crazy. But I think we need a bit of crazy. We just need to not let it dominate our landscape.
It seems like so much of your life has been kind of this journey toward finding peace, and you've talked about meditation and just sort of becoming sort of aware of sort of the whole of everything, and it's not just you, it's like the universe, like you sort of finding your place in the universe in a way.
Yes, that's well observed. That's very correct. That is the big picture, is where we're going, what we're singing about or playing, or people we meet. We are trying to find a place in the universe, or in the multiverse, or whatever it is. Truly definitive answers, I think. The answers lie in questions a lot of the time. Yeah, we're all looking for enlightenment and for truth, and we get little fragments now and again, I think. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of science fiction, and music to me and science fiction were very, very connected. And then I found out years later, when growing up and coming across people like Philip K. Dick and all this incredible vision, he was a visionary really, who thought of these ideas about some are real or some are imaginary, or maybe they're both the same.
Yeah.
But he had a really interesting brain and mind or soul, all three. And he said a lot of his work comes from alien beings. He said sometimes he sits down at a typewriter, and then it was then, and gets all these ideas. And he said one day he realised he was just sitting there and watching these aliens come in and write the stuff for him.
Right.
I never that feeling. I sometimes I think that a lot of that wonderful stuff that Ray's written, and I'm sure it wasn't just wholly him. It was influences that I've probably been helping support all these years. I think I've always been very sensitive to Ray's ideas, and I think together it's helped us build a little inner sanctum work, music.
Well, it's interesting because inspiration is such a mysterious thing, as is just, music, for instance. Like, how is it that this beautiful melody didn't exist before and now it exists now? And people say it's the muse, or people say it's just, inspiration, whatever that is. And then it's also like, is it an alien force, like literally aliens, or is it also just like something that's outside of you that you're bringing in that you're unconscious about? And does it even matter? Because it's something that's kind of you that was not in you before and then is in you now, and it happened somehow.
I think it's always there, but we have to notice it. Whatever the influence, or the hand, or the muse, or the thought, or take it on board. And I think what's one of the most exciting things about living in the present is, although it's not very pleasant a lot of the time, the information is unbelievable. There's so much stuff, ideas and dreams and fear and love and weirdness. So I think very, very exciting times, and it might not be pleasant.
You write in Living on a Thin Line about how in 1982 that you were hearing voices and you feel like that was actually a visitation of aliens. And I'm wondering sort of how that kind of affected you moving forward in terms of how you saw yourself in the scheme of, the universe.
I think I had a lot of problems with that, because people were saying, it's like I see it all the time in mental homes and mental hospitals, people talking to, maybe those fucking people are real. Maybe we should listen to them, not let them take over, but see what they've got to say, and then judge if it's crazy or you're going crazy. We've always been so quick to judge what we don't like, but maybe in that part of the mind we need to investigate more.
Do you feel like your journey changed after that 1982 experience?
Big time. It gave me a lot of confusion. It took me a while to accept that I wasn't going mad, and that maybe all these voices or effects or muses are part of some part of me, or a part of us as a race of people. We tend to think of experience as it's just happening to me. Maybe it's happening to us all in slightly different ways.
You suffered a stroke, and so you had to become much more acquainted with your brain in this other way, because that was an injury that you had to overcome and really do a lot of work to get back to where you are now. What did you learn sort of about the brain in that experience?
Everything I needed to know during that year or two. Ended up being rehab period. It's more than 4 or 5 years. The biggest first I learned was for some reason we need to find out more about compassion, because it can talk to you. If you get used to things like compassion, communication opens up, and it's trying to help us.
You and I talked for the Chicago Tribune in 2013, and I remember you talking me through some of this, and you said, because you needed to relearn playing guitar, and you said that you would take the guitar to bed with you and you would smell the strings, that you were trying to, like, in every way kind of it wasn't just a matter of learning how to finger the chords again. It was like everything about it, like smelling the strings really struck with me. It stuck with me.
It's memory, muscle memory, and we remember a lot of information to smell.
Yeah, smell is the sense most tied to memory of any of your senses.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Even though just being aware of, it's like a meditation, being aware of what you're smelling and what it's given to you. And that was a big thing in my first, what I call alien experience. It might have been a consciousness shifting experience, I don't know. But I learned to smell what I was experiencing. I found out more about what it does to my body, brain, and everything else. It's a vast puzzle that we haven't even begun to really fathom.
When you think back on, being in recording studios early on or being on stage, do you have like a sort of a conscious memory of sort of what the smells were in the studio or on the stage? Or if you were transported back, it would probably hit you.
Oh, it hit me in a regression or something, like a meditation or hypnotic regression, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure of it. That's why music and art are so important, because they're little keys to what's really going on inside people.
When you think back on sort of the greatest you felt when you were making music, does it tend to be in the discovery stage? Does it tend to be in the recording part of it? Or does it tend to be when you're actually on stage performing it in front of people?
Everything, all of it, everything. I mean, I can recall times towards like an end of a tour, like I'm thinking last show in San Francisco or wherever, and I'm feeling really shit. Oh, get on that fucking plane and go home. And then I get on stage and I look at Ray and I feel this weird connection, just like of joy, of excitement. It may last only like 20 seconds or something. There's something else going on. All those people there would feel inspired. Some shows are full of shit, but you kind of look and search and wait for these special moments. I know that I can never remember the word for it, but I know that Zen masters, Zen Buddhists, have experienced a thing which to me seems like you move it into another dimension, or we are moving, but it's like a flash. It's inspiration that lifts a crowd, masses. It can do. I used to long for these little sparks, moments, and times in my whole life with me and Ray interacting in a certain weird way, or just people you meet.
Yeah, those transcendent moments, and you don't know when they're going to come, and that's part of what makes it so special.
That's a part of why it works somehow. It's like something teaching us we have to not know things to find out stuff. And it sounds like writing to a mad person. But sometimes it's in the not knowing where the real information is.
I was having coffee with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about you. And he said, Dave's harmonies on Lola are some of the best harmonies ever. Like in any music, he's like, the harmonies on Lola so make that song and just, lift it to this other level that like almost nothing gets to.
Oh, thank you. It's great. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just always knew that you try and add something pure and do the best you can, and driven by those which come from my family. It's like it's a yearning to make things all right. Make it better, make it smoother, make it feeler.
Right. And there's something about brothers or sisters, like the Roaches, is an example of sisters doing it. But when you have like siblings who are harmonizing with each other, there's like this sort of family quality to their voices, but they're also like different enough. And there's also just something powerful about sort of family singing together, and all of that comes through on so much of your work with the Kinks. And obviously there were tensions and everything too. But it's like, and the harmonies that you put down, they're never like these kind of precise, the choir you'd hear with the orchestra kind of thing. It has this very human quality, but it's beautiful in that. And part of it is a kind of family thing and just the way you guys complement.
Yeah, but it's also that magic word again, love. We can't really define love, but we can use it in all kinds of different ways. And music really responds to emotions in a way we never really understood. Music is such a gift. I think it's an art, imagination and music. It gives to help lift us out this mire that we're in.
I'm curious, by the way, about sort of early on when the Kinks were starting to play and you had Shel Talmy producing those first albums. What was sort of the creative process like in terms of the arrangements? Like, was he arranging you guys in the studio and saying, you play this, or were you guys sort of working stuff out as a band and then he was sort of, coming in to sort of polish it up?
It's all those things, yet none of them. It's like you're thinking about who did what or who didn't do it. He didn't do it. We don't want to be vague, but it's like it just happened. It's best not to question it, and we're always in a hurry anyway. You didn't have time to sit down and scratch your ass, really. It happened so quickly. And sometimes that's the best way. And when you have too much time to do things, it can work against you. Oh, we keep fussing over things that you wouldn't have bothered with.
Do you think there was a difference in the way the Kinks made music when he was producing you as opposed to when from Village Green onward, then it was not, it was more like just Ray and you guys together?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just having different people that are involved in the creative process, it's going to make it sound different. Whether they're actually singing or sitting in the space. Everything in that space is a part of the recording. Feeling, the love, the anger, it's like a movie. It's like a real movie. Music, it reaches out. It's very exciting to think about it in those terms. The music, a lot of the time, comes from the future. Ray might think he's writing a song about Mildred, a certain woman, but he might actually be extracting information from someone in the future.
Huh. Like at the time the Village Green Preservation Society came out and, and Arthur, and now, people look back on those as like, those are like, maybe the greatest albums you guys did. And so in a way, the future knew better than the present at that time.
Yeah, maybe. We can't say it's true or prove it. Maybe we can prove it in the future, but I think with Village Green, when we come back from the States with tails between our legs, what's that phrase? I actually felt really comfortable when I got back to England. I thought, and then Ray realised I had to write stuff in a different way, and he researched Englishness and what's going on here, what can he use as gift or ability we have in music and art to find out what's going on there. So it was an interesting time.
The bands that sort of including the Kinks, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, The Who, Zombies even, these were bands that came in with these R&B influences, and they sort of were taking American music and then sort of sending it back with this whole, other spin on it. It was sort of British invasion. And then later, like with Village Green, for instance, it was more of a sort of specifically English experience, which maybe didn't at the time, go over as big in the US. And yet now that stuff is totally embraced because it held up. And there was this feeling like, oh, well, maybe this wasn't part of the commercial mainstream at the time, but it's like this wonderful music that's very specific in its time and place, and it transports you somewhere.
There's a lot of 60s people and experiment with psychedelics in LA and San Francisco. There's a lot of real stuff in psychedelia. We can't realise that there's a lot of important information in that psychedelic world or place. But, it's down to us to try and learn from it in a productive way. Maybe Village Green is wholly psychedelic album. Maybe the creative world is so attached psychedelia, whatever that word means. Who thought of that word?
Right, because people think of psychedelia as being like sort of mind swirling sound effects and, you know, filters on your voices and murky, you know, I Am the Walrus kind of thing. And whereas Village Green, you know, is sort of considered this pastoral, you know, English countryside kind of record, a little more acoustic.
But maybe that's a part of the psychedelic experience. It's beauty and serene things, kindness, you know, it's mad and crazy and cranky, but there's also soft and nurturing elements in that psychedelic world. It's not all madness. It can.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when I talked to you in 2013, I think that we were talking about your favorite albums. And I think you said Arthur, which I think is also a fantastic record. And you played that show at Space. You played Young and Innocent Days, which is just this beautiful song also. And you'd sort of said that it really reflected kind of your growing up in a way.
Yeah, it did in a way because, of course, Arthur, the main character, is about a family member. So, and the whole story is kind of filters through that guy, that character. So that obviously why Ray thought it would be a great film. It's so visual. The contact and the characters and the family and Arthur's friends. And so, I mean, it's a vast work, I think, that's never really been, you know, it's about the whole social change in England, Australia, and the whole people moving from little old England to this big new life in Australia, and the differentness. And, you know, it's important for us to explore new territories. It's just cosmically, in mind, you know, in our being, in our heart, you know. There was a mystic, I can't remember his name. He taught in mental hospitals, and he used to say, if I'm having a very difficult time about what to do, what not to do, where to go, you've got conflicting feelings and you don't know, are you going crazy? He would say, hold it and run it across your heart and give it a minute, then see how you feel about making a choice or a decision. Just hold it in front of your heart.
I feel like the Kinks as a band also were sort of mirroring that sense of exploration and adventure on that album. I mean, you guys really stretch out on songs like Australia and Shangri-La, which is one of my favorites. And it just stylistically, you just cover a lot of ground and you sound just like as a band really great and in command, you know, just starting with Victoria and just moving forward. And then you have
I think the balls of it is the connection with our family and what these people really meant. They weren't just musical notes on a page. They're real people, based on real people, even though, you know. And I think that's the big thing about that album. Ray and I knew instinctively there's more going on.
And then on the next album, Lola versus Power Man, you had these two songs on there. You have Rats, which is this great rocker, and then Strangers, which is really this song that just totally holds up as just this beautiful sort of deep song. And I'm wondering, when you write a song like Strangers, do you get to the end of it and you think, oh, this is like pretty great. I really got something here.
And the first thing I've thought of is after I wrote Strangers, it was, I've got to play this to Ray and see what he thinks. And I didn't really know a lot about Strangers emotionally, because it kind of seemed to just sweep over me. And after going through it again and rewriting the lyrics and adjusting certain bits, you know, as you do, you know, you always change things that you do sometimes. That I thought, how the hell am I going to write a song like that again?
the key line of it is, strangers on this road we are on, we are not two, we are one. It's a profound line.
And there's also a line that reaches out to people around us. It's a reaching out song. It's not just an insular observation. It reaches out.
Right.
Where you going? Do you mind if I come along with you? It's like it's a movie.
And now there's this massive box set of Muswell Hillbillies and Everybody's in Show-Biz. And I'm wondering sort of when you went back, when they were putting that together, kind of what your feelings were about that period in your life and the band's life.
Oh, multiverse of feelings. It's like the backstory of that album is about the Kinks, really, and the family and the people we knew and had to move from King's Cross in London up to Muswell Hill. When our family did move, it seemed like a big thing, which it was, but it was still only 5 miles away.
Mm.
It's strange the notions of even space and time change. But there's a lot of characters in the Muswell Hillbillies that I'll always be fond of. And Show-Biz is a little bit more like the people you meet on the road. It's like we were singing these songs while performing. So it's kind of a different focus. But
right. There's a lot of frustration in the Show-Biz album. There's like a lot of, ugh, this sucks.
It's really good that Ray had that footage from the film footage.
Right.
It's an interesting time. It really was. The beginning of the 70s and weird and wonderful people that were influenced. But what was weird about that time, for me personally, that was an awful time for me, spiritually and emotionally. I was going through fucking hell through that time. And Show-Biz tour, oh man.
It seems like you were going through a tough time, and that Ray was at the time too. That it was, and some of that's reflected in the music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of my favourite Kinks songs. One of Ray's songs is acute schizophrenia, paranoia blues.
Right.
Because it kind of says what we're talking about. We express ourselves to try and make some sort of sense of what is weirdness in the searching of the answers. I love that sort of thing. Well, what am I going to do? If it, like my mum said, I'll just do it. And it's in the just doing sometimes things do happen. They can fuck up, of course.
Muswell Hillbillies is a pretty wonderful record, and those starting off with 20th Century Man and Acute Paranoia, Schizophrenia Blues it's a great way to start an album.
There's so many reasons for this and the other, but the fact that we were so influenced by the blues from America.
There's a lot of American influence on those records. Like after your pastoral period, like absolutely Muswell Hillbillies, and then Everybody's Show-Business, maybe even a little bit more. A lot of kind of New Orleans sort of feeling, R&B. I mean, sort of blues kind of stuff going on. Country.
Yeah, growing up in England, country was a big thing for us because my sisters all played piano, and there were older generations of different eras, and so they would bring a lot of Hank Williams music into the house, and it seems really weird. There's this music from America with this humour. It was like a Cockney London humour. It's like great songs he wrote, like I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive, and which is funny. It's sad, but it's funny. But life is sad and funny all at the same time.
Absolutely. So I know that people, whenever someone talks to you, they always ask you about Kinks reunion. Is it time to sort of retire that question to keep asking, are the Kinks ever going to get back together?
Ray and I talk about it a lot. We just We got on okay. We got on really well, actually. And, who knows? We want to try and do something, but what, I don't know. There's ideas and small ideas and big ideas.
It's probably more, it's more important at this point, just how, the two of you as brothers, as opposed to bandmates, like how things are with you in that respect. Everything else sort of comes from that anyway.
Well, yeah, I think there's an awful lot of music that's born out of all, there's a lot of music that hasn't been used. Maybe could be resurrected, but maybe that for another time.
Yeah, I think that, again, in 2013, I think there were songs that you'd sort of written and you thought maybe Ray could sort of add something to it, and you were sort of envisioning just some collaborations of finishing each other's songs, maybe having your sons, play with you as well, keeping it in the family.
Yeah, I did make an album. I made several albums with my son Russell.
Right. Ripping Up Time being 2014. I think that was the last of the studio ones.
It was an album called Open Road that me and Russell worked on together.
Okay.
So that came out, 3-4 years ago. And it's great working with Russell, because it's like when we started crafting out the idea, I suddenly realised, we knew anyway, and we'd worked together before on a thing called the Ashir Project, which was set up to be a sci-fi film, and many elements. It might still be a movie. So, but they were. I realised when I suddenly realised that Russell had this unique ability to kind of, like, if you want to go to a town you've never been before, and you don't know where you're going, and you imagine what it's like. Russell's got that ability to sketch out a landscape for you. So, it's like a little map. Okay, yeah, we get away. And that's a gift, real gift. That's what arranging and great writers think like that. They have that ability to. There it is. You fill in the rest.
When you look back on your creative life, what is sort of the biggest thing that you've learned?
The biggest thing I've learned through all my experiences, you can't take things for granted. If you think, we're so insecure as a species that this grasping for definitive results or definitive endings, beginnings, I don't know. It's like, because we're insecure, it's good. It makes us search. I've never really been it's like, I remember something that a guy called Anton Wilson, a writer and philosopher, struck on. I thought it was really interesting when he was talking about the psychedelic era, and there used to be this thing, and like Echo and Bunnyman used this analogy as well, like when they would when you go into a certain psychedelic state, there were kind of certain things that happen to everyone. Like, for example, the white rabbit theory, I call it the white rabbit theory. People taking that as, they find a white rabbit and that's going to take them down this inner journey to wherever. Anton Wilson realised that Harvey, did you ever see that film Harvey with James Stewart?
Right.
About the invisible rabbit. We're all kind of looking for Harvey, to gain access to the inner dimensions or psychedelic world or whatever. But he made this observation that it's not always the same symbol. It might be a tree or a car. It could be anything that triggers it. Otherworldliness rather than psychedelic. It's a lovely word, but So I like his writing as well. So it's almost like that thing I was trying to say earlier. It's when we realise we think we found a key or an answer or a solution through a symbol or through a mental rabbit. That symbol change. It's not animals or rabbits, it's something else. That's what I think is an incredible thing to know if you're interested in multi-dimensional work. It changes.
And you've been searching the whole time. I mean, this is basically your journeys that you're searching and you don't stop.
Well, yeah, of course. It's like ever since Walk Don't Run by the Ventures. It tricks it all off. It's fascinating.
Well, thank you so much. This has been such a treat for me to get to talk to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share so many thoughts. And there's a lot that I'm going to take away from this as well and think about. And, your music over the years has really been, a blessing as well. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you around in person sometime soon as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Mark.
That's all for episode 55 of Caropop. Thanks so much to Dave Davies for going so deep about the Kinks and life itself. If you want to learn more about him, which you should, check out his new memoir, Living on a Thin Line, which came out this year in England and is available here on audio and ebook and will be released in hardcover in January. The companion album, Living on a Thin Line, is out on CD and is due on double vinyl in January. It includes a new version of Strangers. Dave Davies also will have 2 releases as part of the upcoming Black Friday Record Store Day. There is a 7-inch single of his never-before-released collaboration with songwriter Gary Goffin, a song called 21st Century, and there's the first vinyl release of Dave's 2007 album Fractured Minds, with an etching on the 4th side. You also can seek out the 50th anniversary release packages of the Kinks, Muswell Hillbillies and Everybody's in Show-Biz. And if you work your way backward from there, you'll hit a ton of great music. Caropop is produced by Chris Swake, who is also not like everybody else. I'm Mark Caro. Please follow me on Twitter at Mark Caro at MarkCaro, and visit the Caropop website, caropop.com, for posts about music, movies, and food, and also this Caropop podcast. Please share, subscribe, tell your friends, and tune again next week for another Caropop conversation. Thanks.